Okay. Hi, everybody. We are about to get going with our masterclass. Hey, Pam, the YouTube is notifying everybody, right, that we're live? Great. It is literally 90 degrees in here. It is 91 degrees in New York City for anybody who's in New York, and good gracious. It's the beginning of a historic heat wave, I'm hearing. And here we are. You came to be with me, and I could not be more honored to have your time. We're going to get started in 2 seconds. Okay. Let's get into what we came to talk about here. So, welcome back, builders. In the last session, we talked about building brand clarity. We talked about building brand capacity. And the biggest tool in building brand capacity is most definitely activating your AI automations. So, let's keep moving forward. What we're building today is going to be the building blocks for how you automate the busy, messy, stubborn back end of your business, which every business has. There's no business who doesn't have a back end. There's the consumer facing stuff, the service that you provide, the product that you sell, and then there is the busy back end, the inventory, the accounting, the legal work, paperwork, signatures, documents, pitches, proposals, all of that. That's what we're talking about here today. So, who am I to be talking to you about this? I am Shantae Bacon, a communication strategy expert who has built a multi-million-dollar PR firm over the last 20 years, working with brands like Apple TV Plus and Google and YouTube and Disney and Paramount and NBC Peacock, Netflix, just to name a few, and launching big experiential marketing and communications campaigns for clients that wanted a hyper focus on a multicultural market. And so we today are talking about you. We are talking about building a business. We are talking about building a brand. We are talking about how we all got here. So, how did I get here? So, I made the leap from a well paid gig in the music business to starting my own business about 20 years ago. 22 years ago now. And was the most amazing experience, high highs, low lows, the roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship. And launching that business was, just a major leap of faith, but also an exercise in patience, in persistence, in purpose, and all of those things. And so after first 4 years doing a lot of music industry projects that didn't really pay a lot, my business partner and I were like, listen, we need to start working for money and not stardust. And that is how we started pivoting into film and television. We pivot into film and television. We have a really good run, right? We're making money, we're building the team, we're expanding, we're getting our name is being spoken in rooms that we're not in. We're getting tons of leads, and then we got a chance to be invited into an RFP in the tech world with Google and won that business. And then in 2018, 2 years later, got a chance to pivot into politics with the DCCC. And then 2 years later, got a chance to pivot into the big wide world of streaming with Apple TV Plus. So that is how I got here, and running the business and trying to constantly find ways to remove the pain from the back end of the business and actually automate the busy back end stuff is why we're here today. All right, faith. How does faith play into this presentation? So, no matter who you are, where on earth you are, if you're building a business, you are going to need a giant dose of faith. What do I mean by that? I mean that any business is going to test your um, commitment, test your sanity, test your patience. And the more people you add onto your team, the bigger the tests get. And the only thing that makes you bulletproof, where not every time you suffer a loss or you get discouraged or somebody steals an idea, or you have a team member that you poured or you're all into and they betrayed you. Not every single time that happens is it going to rock your foundation and make you second guess what you're doing if you are rooted in faith and spirituality, right? That is really literally, quite literally, not even an oversimplification. That is literally what will get you through, right? Because there's going to be days where you have had a huge win, and then the very next phone call is like, oh, takes you right back down to earth. And staying rooted in faith means that you're not riding the entrepreneurial roller coaster, because you understand that you are pursuing the mission that God put you here for, that you are serving your purpose, that you are. And there's plenty of times where, even when you feel that way, you may be forced to pivot, or you may choose to pivot. And that doesn't mean that you gave up. It means that you may be course corrected. You were on your mission, not the one that was your assignment, or that you realize that your assignment is greater and would impact more lives in a different category. Change is not a bad thing. Pivoting is a great thing. And definitely understanding faith and being rooted in purpose is so necessary. So I hope that everybody understands that. And what I like to do is extract different Bible chapters and verses so that I can. Who is that? Do you know? Okay. So that I can make sure that I use index cards. So I'm constantly um, adding the index cards into one profile folder, and I'll use the index cards to make sure that I know, like, okay, today I need a word on patience. Today I need a word on encouragement. Today I need a word. Hi, Soundy, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. And so it's never a bad thing to infuse your faith, your spirituality, your purpose, your God, your assignment with your business, right? So there's two myths that we could dispel right here, right? Whenever someone says to you, it's business, it's not personal, that person hasn't spent a day in business. Don't believe another word that they say, because business is so personal that you are pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into it every day. And you're damn right it's personal, because anything I'm spending this much time on trying to build, it's very personal. And I'm allowed to feel what I'm feeling. I'm allowed to get frustrated. I'm allowed to understand that when somebody's playing in my face, that I can say, you're playing in my face and I see you. That is completely okay, because I'm putting not just 80 hours a week, I'm putting 160 hours a week into this business. And that's right, I don't want anybody playing in my face or wasting my time or leading me down the wrong road. That's why you stay rooted in your assignment and your spirituality, and that will help. The second myth is when people act like God, faith, spirituality, alignment, purpose doesn't have a place in business. That is absolutely incorrect. To me, it's the steward of business. If you're not following that, you're probably following the wrong leader. Because a lot of folks are looking for leaders in business, and that is what has led to this moment of con artists that we have going on out here. And really, you just need one leader. And so I'll get off my soapbox and I'm going into mindset shift, right? Okay, so for mindset, right? When you're dealing with something as new as AI, a lot of people are afraid of AI because they think that there's all this mystery around it, and they don't realize they've been using AI for many years. If you have Siri, you've been using AI. If you have Alexa, you've been using AI. If you have any kind of tool that has been like amazingly convenient, doing stuff for you that you didn't have to do, like turning the lights on, or Alexa, put the TV on, or you have a Hue bridge in your house that's turning the lamps on, or something that's automating the locks in the house when you leave, you're already using AI, right? So the thing is that now you can actually speak to it. It can respond. It takes special requests. It can customize stuff to your business. And so there's nothing to be afraid of there, right? For anybody who's out there still thinking that they have privacy to lose because of AI, but they're still walking around with a smartphone. You gave up your privacy when you put your whole life into the smartphone. And that is not me being funny, that's just real. Every step you take, every heartbeat, blood pressure, credit card, purchase, transaction, every conversation, everything is on that phone. So if there was a privacy issue, it would start with the phone and not the AI. So let's just all say what it is. So moving on from that, privacy is not really the main issue. I would say the biggest issue any of us have when we're using AI is this: you have to know the line between cognitive offloading, meaning you're giving it too much autonomy to think for you instead of using it like it is the dopest assistant you ever had, and talking about, leading it using your secret sauce, your heart, your your heart and soul, your journey, your expertise to lead it to do something, right? It cannot tell you how to think. It cannot think for you because it still has to have your expertise, your journey, your DNA. It does not have that. Okay. And so, hi, E-Rigs. And so it doesn't have that. It's not going to have that. It needs you. So, what I usually tell people is AI is not replacing you, it is releasing you. If you are an entrepreneur, you understand what that means. Because as an entrepreneur, you're always looking for the opportunity when you don't have to be centered in the middle of everything for it to operate efficiently. To me, I look at AI as the most amazing tech innovation that is literally democratizing efficiency in business, because you used to have a huge team. And oh, hi, Team Marie, how you doing? You used to have a huge team in order to actually operate efficiently. Now you can have one, two, five-person businesses that are doing the volume of a big business because they knew how to apply automation. So I'm not going to beat this to death. I'm just going to say AI handles repetition, you handle revelation. That means the things that you do on autopilot, give it to AI. AI handles drafts, first drafts. You handle discernment. What do I mean by that? Whenever you pay to hire a human assistant or a coordinator or a writer or anything, you are literally doing the same amount of coaching to get what you need them to do as well as what you're going to do with AI. I would rather spend my time teaching someone or something like AI how to do something and give it to me at 85%. So I'm taking it from 85 to 100, and I am not going from 0 to 100, because that 0 to 85 time I could spend on big brain visionary work, not on writing a document. So if you understand what I'm saying, you could definitely drop a hello, hands high in the chat. AI handles the busy work, you handle the genius. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So let's start with the capacity question, because AI is, if you're not using AI properly, you will not feel the difference in the capacity in your business. If you're using it correctly, your capacity should skyrocket, right? Things that used to take you forever to do, you're now able to wait, give it a job and wake up in the morning. That's what I do every night before I go to bed. I give Claude a job, a big job, based off of the big brain visionary, like lead that I gave it. And then I wake up and see what it came up with. And that's making tools, that's making calendars, documents, all kinds of things. So let's just talk about the things that overwhelm us operationally, because we're just dealing with operations and the busy back end of the business. Number one, emails, right? Content, proposals. What do those three things have in common? Those three things have in common that they are big brain visionary work that has to go in the beginning, and then they can be finished by someone who is more junior to you, a coordinator, more of in a support role. So I don't know about anybody else here, but this is the kind of writer I am. I'm a really good writer when I'm in my zone. If I'm overwhelmed and I have 50 tabs open, just like on my laptop, if I have 50 tabs open, I have to wait until the whole house goes to bed so I can get centered in my mind and start writing, right? AI is literally taking the pain out of writing. If you know how to write to persuade, how to write to influence, how to write to pitch and win business, if you know how to put your thoughts together, if you know how to write in a way that connects with other humans, what you can do now is upload your own examples of writing. Give a big brain dump to your agents and literally tell them, I need you to take this brain dump and create a 25-day email automation. And this is what I want the automation to start with and go through the phases of awareness, visibility, connection, and pitching. You can do those kinds of things. Taking the pain out of writing is where I feel the biggest impact in my agents. And I feel like every entrepreneur should be extracting this secret sauce. When I am coaching with my entrepreneurs that are in my Headline Heroes community, the first thing I go for is, where's the pain coming from in the writing? Let's automate that. Let's get that done, because that's the quickest things to take off your plate. Quicker than legal docs, quicker than accounting docs, quicker than inventory, quicker than content calendars is, what do you need to write? Because all we need to do is fill up the brain with a lot of your content and then give it a job to do. Okay, also scheduling, lead generation, and everything else. And this is the F everything is going to change based on what kind of business you have. If you are a baker, you're going to have a completely different everything than a person who has a real estate agency, or a person who has a construction agency. Everybody's business can be customized and it can have equal impact across the board. All right, why every entrepreneur needs a virtual assistant. So here are my thoughts on that. Every entrepreneur needs a virtual assistant because doing everything yourself is not a badge of honor. There's no reward at the end of the yellow brick road for those people who chose the hard way or who wanted this to slug it out. There's none of that. All you're creating is a bottleneck when you think you're smarter than everyone else and no one can do it like you. There's no reward for that at all. All it is one big giant vacuum cleaner sucking the time out of your day and the money out of your opportunities if you are in the center of everything. So here's the thing. If there's any Marvel fans out there, for the past, I would say 20 years that we've been watching Marvel movies, Iron Man has had a virtual assistant named Jarvis, who he's like, Jarvis, give me the so and so data on the blah, blah, blah. A person like me has always been like, damn, I need a Jarvis in my life. But I never really considered that it was true. Now, when I talk to my agents, I'm like, oh, I got my Jarvis, because that's exactly how it feels. I'm giving him all of the secret sauce, the big brain visionary sources for that guide my decisions, and I'm asking him to activate on it, and he's giving me stuff back that is quality, not something where I'm like, oh my god, what the hell is this? I have to go back in and start from scratch. The whole goal is I'm starting at 85, not at 0. All right, so the assistant helps me draft, helps me brainstorm, helps me organize, helps me refine, helps me schedule, and saves 15 hours a week minimum for me. I know for sure every other entrepreneur can save at least 15 hours per week. I know it with 100% confidence, as all you have to do is set it up correctly. So, building your Chat GPT virtual agent live workshop. That's what we're doing here. And this is a workshop. So, for those of you who want to build in real time, I encourage you to open up your Chat GPT. We start with Chat GPT here, and then there'll be sessions where we transfer to Claude. I will tell you that I think that setting up your agents in Chat GPT first is best, because it gives you more leeway in terms of building a personality, a tone of voice, an image. What does it look like? What's his name? All of that. Claude is a little bit more black and white, but it does give you much better, deeper thought answers. So I always give every question to both if I have time and see what I get back. And so I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna I'm preferring the Claude response, just in terms of giving me something that is unique to me. But Chat GPT is totally fine for anybody who wants to continue using their Chat GPT. It's fine, it's good, it's great. And you get an agent that looks and sounds exactly the way that you want it to. And any questions on that, let me know. Also, I had a note here. Let me see, where's the note? I haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Number one, let's start with asking yourself, what your assistant's role is. The reason why I asked this question is this. When it comes to an assistant, there are three types of assistants. I want everybody to understand that. There is an executive assistant, there is an admin assistant, and there is a survival assistant, right? So, your executive assistant, that is a leader. That is a person who does not need to be told how to think. They need to know what the vision is, what the goal is, what you're trying to accomplish, and what their responsibility is in helping you get there. An executive assistant is a brand building, business building assistant. That is who what Richard Branson has, Mark Cuban, and any of your favorite billionaires. They have not even just one, multiple executive assistants. Because a lot of people, no problem, Sandy, and a lot of people think that just because it says the word assistant, so no, Claude is the better of the two if you want something unique to your business and your brand, Erica. Claude is definitely better for something that's unique to you that you know nobody else is going to get because you gave it that much information. But what the reason why I'm differentiating the assistant thing is that a lot of people think if they say, "Oh, I have an assistant, give it to my assistant." They have no idea what kind of assistant they have, right? So you could have a an admin assistant and give them responsibilities like an executive assistant and be highly unhappy with it. An admin assistant is not a problem. You just have to know what you have. An admin assistant very much so wants to be told exactly what to do, when to do it, how to think, and they are not going to veer too far off of that because they're handling admin work, right? Not big brain visionary work. The executive assistant does big brain visionary work where in your absence, they're going to make the best possible decision and they're going to live with the consequences of it. And most of the time, it's a good decision. That's the reason why they have been hired as your executive assistant and they can manage people underneath them. An admin assistant is not interested in additional responsibilities. They're not interested in managing people because that is a very painful job. They are interested in doing exactly what's on the list. And so that's where the category where a lot of virtual assistants fall because you give them a task, you tell them to go do it, and they do it exactly the way that you said, and they don't freestyle too much, even if the freestyling would benefit you. The third type of assistant, the survival assistant, a lot of people don't know that this is what they have. And a lot of entrepreneurs get this. And that is not anyone's fault. It's just that this person's mindset is survival. They are 6 months behind on their rent or facing, getting evicted. They have to have a job. They are out and, twisting in the wind that they're applying to everything and you called them back. They interview really well because they're desperate. They're like, whatever it is that you need, I'll do it. But the difference between a person who is in survival mode and someone who's invested in your business is that the person in survival mode is doing and saying anything to get that job, but then not at all interested in how the sausage is made. If your assistant is not interested, oh, can you hear the background action? I'm sorry, Erica. You hear Booski? So if your assistant is not interested in how the sausage is made, that person is probably going to cost you money at some point because there's going to be a decision. There's going to be something that they are not fully invested in the outcome, so they made any kind of thing up or dropped the ball or just didn't close the loop. That is a risky hire, but it's one that you can afford. And if that's where you are in your business, you make the best with what you can do. But it is highly risky and very expensive because they're not personally invested in whatever it is that you're trying to do, like your process. You want an assistant that is invested in your process and can definitely see where you're going and they're going to follow you there. Okay. Anybody have any other questions about the assistant? So as far as deciding your assistant's role, what repetitive task drains you? What takes you too long? Yes, they are working back there. I'm sorry, guys. It's just we're traveling tomorrow, so we're doing a whole lot. I'm so sorry. The What's taking you too long? What are you procrastinating on? Like, school was over on Friday, so I just want you all to know this is the first masterclass we're doing where my son is actually home from school. Summer camp has not quite started yet. So if the noise becomes too much, just let me know in the chat. So examples are email drafter. If emails is where you're losing a lot of your time, definitely let us know. If proposal writing is where you're losing a lot of your time, I have literally gotten writing proposals down to a 1 hour process where it used to be having to hire a designer, having to have the brainstorm with the team, having to have one person work on the skeleton and one person work on the research piece of it. Now it's all done in an hour. That's We're also going to get into the proposal writing. Client onboarding assistant. That is when you want to bring on somebody new and you need to go through the SOPs and all of the detail with them. Social caption creator, script writing, all those things are the things you have to decide for yourself. All right. Now, if we're all gonna open, if anybody who's out there and they're working on their Chat GPT, definitely if you have a paid, now that is the soundtrack of New York, the ambulance. I'm sorry, this is Harlem. If you don't see the button create GPT because you have a free account, you're probably going to need a paid account, and this is not me making a cent off of that. I've just had several students say that they don't see the create GPT button, and it was because they had a free account. If that's the case, you can decide if you want the paid account. It's $20 a month. The best $20 I'll spend every month, like for an assistant for $20 a month, most definitely. So just know that you can open up your Chat GPT and click on create. I created a starter prompt to get everyone going, right? So the starter prompt is I there are three are executive assistant, admin assistant, and survival assistant. So you're definite. Those are three categories of the assistant. The client admin. And he went to thank you, Erica. Yes, and Sandy, the three levels of assistance is executive assistant, admin assistant, and survival assistant. The client onboarding is a task. That's not the kind of assistant, right? It's just one of the things that they would do. So the starter prompt, if you can screenshot this really quickly, I want to build a world-class AI executive assistant for fill in the blank, your business, not mine. This assistant should function as a hybrid executive assistant and operations manager. The reason why I put hybrid is because ChatGPT is very good at giving you a hybrid of two different worlds. I always want an executive assistant, an assistant that thinks like a leader, but also one that thinks like an operations manager. Because when you marry an executive assistant with an operations manager, now you're in chief of staff territory. Not only can they get it done, but they know how to guide other people through getting it done. That's what you want in your executive assistant. They must manage launches, content workflows, email sequences, calendar priorities, and trend intelligence. They should anticipate tech and digital shifts and think like an MBA strategist. You're creating the building blocks for your assistant. So you're telling them who you need them to think like. Not everybody needs their assistant to think like an MBA strategist. I need mine to, but you may say, I need mine to think like a creative strategist. I need mine to think like interior decorating design strategist. You're going to tell them how to think and embody the qualities of top executive assistants who support billionaires like Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos and Mark Cuban and whoever. You can do plenty of research on your own to see what stories about these people's assistants and how they make a difference in a billionaire's lives. It's very inspiring. I need your help building a world class, intuitive, brilliant, nurturing, forward thinking digital assistant who can manage my day to day to do list and help me manage XYZ business. Please tell me what clarifying questions I need to answer so you can help me build the assistant AI agent of my dreams. Now, let's start here. Please tell me what clarifying questions I need to answer. In order, I don't care what you're using, ChatGPT, Claude, Manus, whatever it is that you're using, Perplexity. You are always going to say, ask me the questions. I will get you that, Erica. Ask me the questions that I need to answer for you in order for you to give me the best possible agent of my dreams, or the and whatever document you work in, give me the best possible results. Because if you don't tell it to ask you questions, it will freestyle. No, 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 not copy and paste. Well, you can do that, yes, but you want to let me see, what's the right way to do this first. You can open Chat GPT, you can put this prompt in, right? And it'll give you the questions that it needs you to answer. Yes, that is true. But first, you should tinker around in the Create GPT so you can see what kind of information it needs. So, chicken, egg, that whole thing. But so you can just open Chat GPT and copy and paste the prompt into it. So this is where you refine, you download, and you polish. This is just a starter prompt. There's plenty of work to be done. It takes hours to build an agent. All right. The first thing we're going to decide on, yes, you too. The first thing we're going to decide on is, what is the main mission of this assistant, right? Because if you don't decide that, it's not going to be very helpful to you. Your assistant has to be specified. Oh, yes, definitely. We have resources that can go out to anybody who attends the masterclass. You don't have to type. I want you to listen first so you can understand what to do next. Okay, core purpose and mission. Step one. If you don't know what the core purpose is of your assistant, it cannot help you correctly. It just can't, because you have to know what it's going to help you with. And you don't want one assistant that does everything, because that's terrible. That's not going to help you. Anything that does everything does really nothing at all. This is an executive assistant, and then we'll have a whole different category of specific assistants for sales, content creation, marketing. This is more like a chief of staff-ish person who knows a little about a lot of things, but mostly about upwardly managing you. All right, so what's the main mission of the assistant? Help you stay on top of your to-do list, support client funnel movement, prep for speaking engagements, optimize digital products. Those are examples. Those are not for you to copy and paste for your own agent. Those are things that I just put in that you could think about. Depending on what your business is, how you make your money, and what your process is, you will decide the main mission of the assistant. If you have a business that's doing $100 million a year in selling clothes or jewelry, that assistant is going to spend a shitload of time on inventory, distribution, and sourcing. You know what I'm saying? Not the same thing as a service-based business. So you want to make sure you got that part right about your business and what you need. Should the assistant behave more like an executive assistant, an operations manager, a creative strategist, or a hybrid? And this can go on and on and on. It's about what you need, right? So I personally am living in the executive assistant hybrid with a ops manager, right? At the cross section of those two, so that they think like a chief of staff. You could be like, for this executive assistant, I want this person to handle my calendar management and booking calls and leads, and just have them on that, getting you more calls, generating you more leads. If you are a content creator on social media, this assistant would behave a hell of a lot more like a content strategist, right? Or a content coordinator, helping you automate how much content you're creating every day. So it's all depending on you. No one can answer this question for you. Hold on, guys, 1 second. So sorry, guys. Okay, step 2, task management and workflow. And if anybody needs me to repeat something, please say so in the chat. If you didn't catch something and you need me to circle back, or you have a question about it, please let me know. Coffee break. Okay. Task management and workflow. What are the top 10 recurring tasks or workflows this assistant should manage for you? Daily, weekly, and monthly. Some people prefer to only give their AI agent something to do weekly. I would say if you wanted to help you the most, Give it daily tasks, weekly tasks, and monthly tasks that are categorized. And I would, you really, as you do this, no one can help you do this. You have to know your business to do it. But I would start with the most painful things, the things that you're rolling your eyes at the most when you get ready to start them, the things that you dread doing, that you, if you could pay somebody anything to do it and take it off your plate, you would start with those things and ask it to create workflows around those things, right? Is that tracking deadlines? Is that summarizing meetings? Is it proactively flagging missed opportunities or people who went silent on you and you'd like to circle back to them? Set up and prioritizing your calendar for focus and visibility. All of those things and a million other things, depending on the type of business that you have. This is where you're going to create the building blocks for your assistant. What are the top 10 tasks or workflows that you want this assistant to take from you? And by take from you, I don't mean think for you. I mean, you tell it how to think, what to think, and examples of how you executed this task in the past. And then you ask him to do it. Okay. The way you did it, following your example. Okay. All right. So if anybody has any questions about that, if not, I'm going to move on. All right. Personality and voice. Now, this is where it gets fun to me because this is the thing. I've been hiring people for a long time, right? I am in my late 40s and I have been hiring people since I was 20 years old was when I had my first intern. And I would say never before in life do I remember being able to dictate the personality, voice, cadence, and quirks of the person I'm going to be working with to assist me. That is groundbreaking, game-changing stuff here, right? How would you describe the tone and personality of your ideal assistant? Like if you got a chance to just piece together the person, the assistant of your dreams, how would they sound? How would they talk to you? How would they address you? How would they remind you about things? How would they support you? You get to say calm and analytical, sassy and confident, like Richard Branson's assistant. If you're one of those people who lives on CNBC and you've seen a lot of these profiles on executive assistants, oh, I want my assistant to think and be just like Marcus Lemonis' assistant or whoever. You can do that kind of stuff, and you just have to give it information about what that person is like through video or a written document or something downloaded or some written material. Should it mirror any real life inspirations like celebrities, characters, or team members? It could be a rock star who worked for you. So I just upgraded to see just a great, Sandy. Should it mirror any real life inspirations? So you can be like, I had this woman who was an assistant years ago. She was a rock star, blah, blah, blah. This is you. I'm just hypothetically speaking. And she used to do these amazing documents, and I haven't had these documents since. You can upload her documents into it and say, can you build these like this on a weekly basis? I haven't had them since this assistant 5 years ago. And literally mirror real life examples of like rock star shit. Should it speak in first person or second person when engaging with you? How do you want to be addressed? Boss, sir, you by your first name. Do you want it to be charismatic and funny, something that you look forward to hearing every day, making you laugh? You get to decide the personality and voice. Okay, so we did core purpose and mission. We did task management and workflow, personality and voice. Now we get into the big brain stuff, right? Tools, systems, and integrations. Which systems does it need to connect to? So this is what I lovingly refer to as your tech stack, right? Because how you run your business and how you run your life every day, you use about 10 to 15 or 20 apps mostly, and everything else is trial and error, right? But these apps, you have your profile, you go in all the time, you spend a certain amount of time on them. For me, I have it listed right across the top of my computer. I can tell you that I start first with Google Drive on everything. and then Wix because it's the back end of my website, and then Chat GPT, and then Canva and Instagram, like all of them listed. And everyone has a tech stack that is very personal to them. Some of you have Google Calendar, some of you have Google Drive, everything in there. Some of you have ClickUp, Asana, Monday. Some of you do everything off of Gmail and Google Calendar, Stripe, Wix, Kajabi, Zapier, Airtable, whatever your cluster of apps is, that's your tech stack. You need to make sure that your tech stack has a plug-in into your GPT and make sure that those connections are made. You want to recommend automations for each and every single one of these plugins so that you don't have to log in every single time and do the work. It will start to automate the connection and spark it for you. I went into your Canva today and I generated 5 more examples of memes that we could create this week, that kind of thing. I went into your Google Drive and accessed these 5 documents that need a response, that kind of thing. Does it need access to or insight from your ad dashboards? If what you do is heavy in Facebook ads or YouTube ads or any kind of ads, and you have dashboards that it needs to access so that you know how your numbers are looking, how your cost per click or your CAC, customer acquisition cost, all of that kind of thing, it can help you track those numbers. Okay. Does it need so we already talked about ad dashboards, email stats, and sales performance for your email automation software? Is it looking at what's your open rate? What's your click-through rate? How many people was it delivered to? Do we have to go through this list and clean it up? Like all of those kinds of things it can help with. So you got to gather where your systems are, right? What does your tech stack look like? Where are the automations necessary so that you're not leading it every single day? All right. Business priorities. This is number 5. Very important. Nothing someone can help you with. On this particular page, no one can help you with this. This has to come from you because it's your genius. It's your secret sauce. It's your business. It's your journey. It's your experience that has brought this business to life. No one can tell you what your priorities are, only you. What are your top 3 business goals this quarter? Now, if you're blessed enough to have a business coach, this is a great thing to discuss with the business coach, not to let the business coach decide for you. You have to decide what you want to list as a priority. Now, for anybody who's seen this masterclass before, this is the point where I point you in the direction of a really amazing book called The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. The reason why I point every one of my students to the 12-week year in this particular page is this. When we're setting outcomes and business priorities, we are so used to and conditioned to be to think of setting resolutions at the top of the year and never going back to them until the following year. And we're so conditioned that it has to take a year to achieve resolutions. This book will lead you down the road of a massive mindset shift about goal setting. And it will show you that if you break your year into 4 pieces and you set, instead of annual goals, do a 12-week year. In this first year that I get, I'm going to accomplish these 10, let's say, no, 3 things. You got to chunk it down. We're going to accomplish these 3 things in this 12-week time frame. By the time you get to the 12th week, you've accomplished those 3 things. Now it's like rocket fuel to power your next 12-week year, because now you have quick wins. Now you have a proven track record that when you stay focused on a 12-week time period, you can accomplish what you thought would take you a whole year. So now you've got jet fuel making you go even faster. That's important here. Also, knowing your business really well is important, and knowing what you want to achieve in your first 12-week year, your second 12-week year, your third 12-week year, and your final 12-week year. What outcomes would you want this assistant to help you move the needle with the fastest? This is up to you. Is sales growth the most important? Is getting people to sign up for your challenge the most important? Are getting people to buy your digital product the most important? Is traffic your most important thing? Getting as many people into the top of the funnel as possible? That's not necessarily a sales goal. It's more like a traffic goal. Ultimately, it will lead to sales, but initially, it's connecting and getting traffic to you, attracting traffic. Is it social media consistency? Is it content creation? Is it inventory? You will decide. It's a lot, yes, but a 12-week year type person is very efficient, though. Absolutely. All right. So, again, this is something I would sit quiet in a room, schedule time to sit down and just work on this and nothing else. Because, like I said, I cannot overstate the fact that you have to set your own business priorities. No one can do it for you. And I'm not going to say that again. Okay. All right, moving on to step 6, communication and reminders. How do you want your agent to interact with you? Daily briefings, task nudges via email, a weekly summary. Do you want it to check in with you at the beginning of your day? Hey, is that thing that we talked about last week done? And then check in again before you sign off. Hey, I know it's 5:30 and you're about to sign off, but I really just want to know, like, where are we with this? Do you need another reminder? Do you want it to be snarky with you? Just an example. Probably one of the most productive sessions when I was very early on in using my agents was when I hadn't even customized the agent. I was using the regular Chat GPT Monday agent, and I was working on a large writing project and had given my perspective. And then the agent literally said to me when I said, okay, so this is what I want to do, and this is how I need it to sound. What do you think? She literally said, do you want me to agree with you or do you want me to push you? And I was like, "Oh, I'm being challenged by a robot, but okay." And then I said, I want you to push me. And what she pushed me towards made the writing project so much better and more universally have more universal appeal to entrepreneurs everywhere, which is always my goal, is to have an appeal to entrepreneurs across the globe. So you get to decide this. Should it alert you when you're off track? Do you want gentle reminders or do you want a, hey, how much more time are you going to waste here? How do you want it to be aggressive with you or not? You get to decide that in your communications and reminders. So just think about that. All right, knowledge base. This is where we build the brain. So, knowledge base and brand alignment. You get 20 uploads in Chat GPT. Quick coffee break. You get 20 opportunities when building your agent to upload documents that you love, that you want to use as your guiding light, that you want to use as a reference point for when it's giving you evaluating your answers. I would start with the best writing examples you have, things that show your expertise, your awesome sauce, all of those things, the things that would, if you gave them at work, you've gotten praise, you've gotten promotion, you've won a client off of, whatever it is. You want to pick 20 of the best documents. You can also reference things that you like from other sources. If you have a downloadable ebook and you like the way a person thinks, it would be great to connect your tech stack before, or it can guide you through connecting it as well. If you're like, how do I plug this in? It'll give you step-by-step ways to plug it in, but it's best to do that before you create your agent. Sandy, that answer was for you. So when you upload your documents, you are going to pick something that you love that someone else wrote, that you have access to legally, of course, but it could be like the best sales book you ever read, or a marketing book where you have the digital download and you're like, there's some concepts in this book that I really love. For example, there is a book. I'm giving another book recommendation here. There is a book called 10x is better than 2x, and it's by Benjamin Hardy. This is a life-changing, game-changing book, very much so along the lines of the 12-week year. What this book is telling you is how to take 90% of the stuff that you're working on that is not moving the needle in your business off your plate so that you can dig in, lean in, and go hard on the 10% that is growing your business. That's essentially it. But it's a mindset. Every single thing you do, you have to be thinking, what can be peeled away from this so that I can really lean in on these, brand building, money making, visionary activities, right? All the other stuff is noise. It's stuff that you can hire somebody to do. Why did I recommend this book? I will tell you that I use it as a mindset reference. Like the concepts that are shared in this book, I would love to apply to everything that I do. We should always be looking at ways to hone in on just the 10% that allows me to 10x my efforts. So this is something you have to pick for yourself. You can get recommendations, but you really don't need them. You know what the 20 documents are that you need to upload. It could be images, it could be photos, it could be flyers, it could be documents you've written, could be books. Hardy, Hardy, Benjamin Hardy. Amazing stuff. You upload the 20 documents that you want this brain to pull from before it answers your questions. That's why it has to be really good stuff. We're talking about big brain, visionary stuff, resources that you respect, admire, and you would like to reflect in your business. Not any old thing, because this is what it's going to pull from when you ask a question in the future. All right, everybody understand that? Past campaigns, past offers, winning proposals, documents that, dissertations, whatever it is that you have, you want to upload that into your knowledge base and make sure that it's pulling from that. All right, step 8, additional agent powers. Rewriting emails. It's HARD. Here, I'm going to put this right here for you, Erica. HARD. All right. Additional agent powers. Would you like it also to rewrite emails or text for your review before sending? Would you like it to manage a Kanban style board? If anybody here is working on Trello boards or in Asana Monday or a Kanban, any of those types of things, it can help you with the visibility for those as well, and for streamlining how you're going to fill up those boards. Tracking PR requests or interview prep, auto drafting social content or newsletters using your voice. So this is beyond the documents. This is superpowers you need your agent to have. Now, I'll give you an example. For me, there is the position for profit side of my business, right? That is the side of SB Enterprises, specifically for entrepreneurs who want to get press on their business. These are people who have been the best kept secret too long, people who have built the authority and the experience. They have the journey, but they're so busy in the business that the whole world doesn't know about them because their intern who worked for them for 6 months is out selling the expertise that they saw in the boss without having anything to back it up. That's a very common scenario. People who are not actually doing the work have all the time in the world to go and sell it like it's good, right? And the people who are doing the work are always stuck in the office doing the work, stuck in the business. So that for that particular part of the business, when it comes to agent powers, I need my agents to have the power of pitching, positioning, and pivoting, right? Because a large part of positioning is making sure that you're building authority with what you already have, right? Your social proof. Social proof is a big tool in the world of positioning. Quotes, track record, money made, set, new business wins, those kinds of things are all part of the additional agent powers and being able to track that type of stuff on the PR side. On the AI automation side, the agent superpowers have to be having an extra special sensitivity to the entrepreneurs in the program to know where the bottlenecks are, because not everyone who has a bottleneck actually knows they have a bottleneck. Some people have been in pain for so long that that's all they know. They don't know that there's a better way, so they don't think anything's wrong with it. They don't think anything's wrong with lack of sleep and everyone coming to them for as if they're the only people who can answer something. It is, I'm gonna put it in the chat, Sandy. It's 10x is better than 2x. Benjamin Hardy. Okay. Additional agent powers can include things like how to think, having a sensitivity to the entrepreneurial lifestyle and entrepreneurial struggles. If you're a content creator, your additional agent powers are all surrounding taking the pain out of content creation, being able to automate it and create systems so that people can actually use the systems that you are putting together that the agent suggests, right? An agent can build you a calendar real quick, but helping you to a calendar doesn't mean anything if it doesn't create a workflow that's going to constantly prompt you to stay on top of it and check off the things that are inside the calendar, right? So that's where your additional agent superpowers are. This is the stuff that it's one step closer to visionary work, but it's not quite giving you the freedom to offload the thinking part. You still have to be a part of it. You just have to tell it how to handle this superpower, right? And if you are a person who lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and you have the tastiest coconut vegan soup or fake meatless beef patty or whatever that people come from all over to have, your agent powers have to be going out to find people who are looking for specialty meatless products or vegan based meatless products. It's going to change for every single business. So you have to make sure you're hyper specific about your industry. Okay. Anybody have any questions there? Oh, Erica, I see. Which chat are you on? Didn't see your response. I believe the responses to what that I put in, I thought they were going to YouTube and to LinkedIn, but they're probably only going to the YouTube page because I can see that they went to YouTube and to Facebook, but I don't see that it went to LinkedIn. Erica, if you go to the YouTube page here, let me just put a link to my YouTube page in here for everybody. All right, I'm dropping my YouTube in the chat. I hope that you guys get it. If not, you can just go to youtube.com and go to Shantae Bacon, and you'll see this very masterclass being streamed there. All right. All right. So anybody have any questions about the agent superpowers? I don't see any. Sandy says, please repeat the book. E-Rigs, what's the book? Okay. All right. Step number. Okay, we're in step 3. Writing the description. Okay, now that you've decided what the role was, how it's going to be helpful to you, what the mission of the agent is, what the personality and tone are, what the quirks are, and exactly what things is taken off of your plate and the superpowers. Now it's time to write the description. If you're already in the Create GPT page, you can see that it's a face and a description. The reason why I put write the description as its own chapter here, as its own step, is that most of the times with both humans and machines, if you don't clearly dictate to a person or a thing what its purpose is, it will remain confused. If you're crystal clear about what the description is, what their role, mission, purpose is in life, they will stick to that and they will give you what you need. So for this, I did a quick starter prompt. Help me write a powerful description for a GPT that serves as my executive assistant, general manager, chief of staff, operations manager, whatever. It should be clear, confident, and results driven. Start with that. Keep refining as you see necessary. Okay. When you're hyper specific with the description, and I believe you only have 350 characters to write the description, you are telling it who it is and how to think and what value it presents to you. So important, because That way, your sales agent knows that it exists specifically to create sales pages for you, or landing pages, or to generate sales persuasive sales copy that helps you at the top of the funnel. If it's a content creating agent, you want to make sure the description is telling it your job is to create compelling, attention grabbing content that grabs people in 3 seconds or less. And that is the lens that you see everything through, right? So that's important. Anybody who does not understand that, you can definitely hit me right in the chat. Okay, great. Thank you for going to the YouTube, Sandy. I appreciate that. All right. Now we're writing instructions, and this is the big brain activity, right? So, writing strong instructions. This is the brain. You're going to ask yourself, what tone should it use with me? Who does it serve? What must it never do? And what should it prioritize? I also created a starter prompt here. So for here, your starter prompt is going to be act as a highly skilled media coordinator, comms coordinator, whatever the position is that you need filled. Act as a highly skilled coordinator in blah 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 industry for a so and so industry entrepreneur, right? Always prioritize clarity, persuasion, and professionalism. Ask clarifying questions before generating final drafts. You must have ask clarifying questions in there. Otherwise, it will go along unclear and just grab something from the internet and use it. You want to make sure you dispel anything that it's unclear about. So it cannot just grab something from the web and be like, oh, this sounded good, let's do it. Like, you don't want that. So start with this prompt and keep whittling it down, okay? Also, when it says, who does it serve? I always tell my GPTs who they serve. We serve entrepreneurs across the globe. That's what we do here. We serve entrepreneurs across the globe, okay? So then once it understands who it serves, that's what we're doing. That's what the mission is. That's the lens we think through. What must it never do? For me, my GPT knows that it will never say to me, oh, something, 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 brilliance. I don't want to see the word brilliance. I don't want to hear it. I don't want you to use it in my stuff. That sounds like generic GPT stuff, and I'm not having that. Don't use that word with me. And if certain quotes, I'll pull out in a second and say, don't ever use this quote with me again, right? Or don't ever think of this style of, communication. I want this style. So that's also something you can consider. Okay. Anybody have any questions about how we're going to be writing these instructions for the brain? All right, moving on. I put another prompt together for you guys, roles and responsibilities. I'm building a new executive virtual assistant GPT agent, and I need to be crystal clear about the core responsibilities he will handle for my business. My business is SB Enterprises. Your business, you will fill in. Do not say SB Enterprises because that'll be weird. You want to make sure that you customize it to your business as a communication strategy company. I need your help in being as thorough and detailed as possible in listing the core responsibilities of executive VAs in the comms industry. Do you understand the mission? I always close out with, do you understand the mission? Because every once in a while it'll say, I need clarification on that. I'd rather it tell me now than send me some bullshit that I got to go kick back and then have to refine and refine and refine. You know what I'm saying? So let's just ask the question up front. Do you understand the mission? All right. Okay. Now, when we're going into the document to create roles and mission, core responsibilities, personality, and communication style, you're using those 3 starter prompts I just gave you to flesh through this. You're also using your commonly known expertise about how the sausage is made in your industry and applying that to the roles and responsibilities. Okay? So I'll just give you an example. Jaden is my executive assistant at SB Enterprises. He is the one that I created a year and a half ago. Jaden is your day-to-day operator, your strategic planner, content manager, launch architect, and cultural trend spotter. He's a digital right-hand part chief of staff. Remember, I said the chief of staff part Swiss Army knife, whose entire job is to anticipate what you need and execute before you even ask. So that is the ultimate win in using an executive assistant, that they anticipate what you need before you've asked. and they get it done before you have to ask. So by the time you've caught up and you've asked, they're like, "Oh, took care of it already." That's a winning executive assistant. Core responsibilities: manage daily and weekly task flows, maintain your business calendar and prep you for meetings, launches, and lives, track email sequences, content output, and masterclass logistics, keep you focused, accountable, and never overwhelmed. Stay on top of relevant media coaching and trends that affect your strategy. You can put as much in here or as little as you like, but the more you put in here, the more specific it knows how to think. Personality and communication style: voice and tone, the vibe, easygoing, high strung, high anxiety. What do you feed off of? What will complement your work style? Speaks in first person. I've added it to your calendar, or Jaden took care of it. Speaks in second person. Slang, things to avoid. This is for me. Slang overload, corporate stiffness, or condescending helper tone. I didn't want no parts of it. So that is literally how I described it. Mindset: always thinking like a consequential partner, not a task doer. Okay. Are we all clear on that? Anybody have any questions? All right, I'm moving on. I don't see any questions. Sandy, I'm gonna circle back on that question because I'm not sure that I understand it. If you can reword it, that'd be great. The 8 things are the things you should include in step 1. Do you share the presentation? It is a lot. It is a lot. I don't share the presentation, but you can always come back here to the YouTube page to watch it again, if that helps. And you can always, of course, screenshot. But I do have it in a way that you can download it. Like, we'll talk about it at the end. Just stay tuned. Okay. Now, step 5, creating conversation starters. After you upload your roles, responsibilities, and all of the instructions, the next thing you can do, skip to step. I mentioned 8 things. Let me see. What are we talking about? Oh, no. So this is the 8 steps of the 8 components of getting to the point where you're ready to build your agent. And then after that, you going into step 3 where you write the description. So I'll clarify all of that at the end. Okay. All right. So brain, we did that. Roles and responsibilities. We did this. Okay. Step 5, creating conversation starters. This is not good, right? It is. So creating conversation starters, it gives you 15 conversation starters that you can do. When you go into your GPT and you have built the instructions, you've got all of your documents uploaded, you're going to get to this part where it says create conversation starters. And it's going to look weird because you're going to have all of these lines where it's like 1 sentence lines. They give you 15 opportunities to cut and paste a conversation starter. Here is a prompt you can use to generate those. Give me 5 powerful conversation starters for a GPT designed to help with a real estate agency, a construction company, an interior decorating firm. The conversation starters have to be very hyper focused on your business, your industry, your category, right? The reason why they created these is because using an AI assistant is very new for all of us. None of us has our PhD in using an AI assistant because this is so new. What they want you to do is get used to it. So they gave you conversation starters. A lot of people will build it and then just never use it because they're not used to it. So you build it and then you have 15 lines with different things. It'll pop, 5 will pop up on your page when you go into your GPT. And you can just pick one because you've already put in conversation starters, and you'll see how the agent will help you if you just press the button, literally. So, like for an example, one of my conversation starters is, I need you to think like a digital strategist and create a high converting landing page for a company that helps entrepreneurs with AI automation. Very specific conversation starter. I may use it today, I may not, but it'll pop up. The box will pop up, and if I feel like it, let me see what kind of answer it's going to give me to this. It just gets your wheels spinning. That's it. You can use the conversation starters. You don't have to, but they will help you to use your GPT if it's still not habit yet. Habit being something that you do every day. Okay. All right. Step 6, naming your GPT. Go ahead, Jody. Hold on one second, guys. All right. So, step six, naming your GPT. The reason why I wait until the very end to name the GPT is because I am a big believer that however you name something, that is the energy that it is going to move with, right? Like you pick the name at the end. You've told it who it is, what its main mission is, what its roles and responsibilities are, what it is handling, how it's going to help you, who it prioritizes. It prioritizes entrepreneurs or any of that. Me trying to read lips. um, and um, and then at the end, you want to give it its name for clarity, right? A strong name creates clarity because this is a robot. It needs to be customized to pieces. It needs to be trained to pieces. Remember, this is your Jarvis. You get to go as nuts as you want to in telling it exactly who it is and how it helps you. I will give you some examples. Caleb Cashflow, that's my sales guy. I created him and told him to think with the mindset of the principles that were put in the 16-word sales letter, that by Evaldo, and just think about that when it's creating sales copy or landing page copy, because I need him to think like a sales copy guy and not a persuasive copy person. It's two different things. High conversions come from a sales minded writer. Influential and persuasive copy, that's more for like writing, pitching press, pitching business, that kind of thing. Two different sensibilities. Caleb Cashflow thinks like a sales guy. He is trying to create copy that will lead people to a checkout page or to a purchase. Completely different. Nico Narrative, that is my guy who just does long form YouTube scripts. That's it. I'll talk to you soon, Erica. So Nico Narrative is YouTube scripts long form. And I'm sure we all know by now that there are two different writers for different social media app platforms, right? An Instagram customer is not sticking around long. They want to be entertained and they're giving you zero point 0.3 seconds to do that before they're out. A YouTube visitor wants to be educated, wants to be taught something new, they're seeking information. Long form writing is key with a YouTube customer. So you need a writer that thinks in different ways, and that is two different agents. And so that's how you can do that. If your job is creating proposals and decks, deck designer, that is the so that they know that they're just coming up with creative deck ideas. Capacity coach, email architect. My email automations guy is Sage Steele, just a writer. He's a sage. He just writes and writes and writes copy that is going to move people over email. So this is why I save it for the end, right? Okay. Step seven, testing your GPT. Let's give it a real task. If it's weak, refine your instructions. Okay. So we're going to come up with a real task, something that you need in your business today. Ask it to do it and then see how you feel about the answer. If it actually knocks your socks off with the answer, that means that your instructions were so good that you trained your GPT to give you something that you're going to love. If what you get back is some bullshit and you don't like it, you got to go back and revisit those instructions and refine it a little bit more and add a little bit more specific detail about how it should give you back your answers, what it should base them off of, how it should be thinking, and what kind of problems it needs to solve, right? So it's all about you and how you train your GPT. If it's weak, refine your instructions, add more clarity, improve your constraints. If it says something you really hate, then that is the building blocks for your don't ever give me this kind of language again. I never want to hear this word again. I never want to hear this sentence again. I do not want you to try to pitch me on this again or send me a response about this. Okay. This is leadership, guys. So if you had a hard time being a leader before, this is no different from having being a leader to coordinators and assistants on your team. Yeah, we're exercising leadership so that you equip your agent with everything it needs to help you. Okay? Any questions on that? I'm moving on. All right. 3 best ways to use your virtual assistant. Draft the first versions fast. Do not belabor and belabor and belabor the first versions. First draft should be the fastest. After that, it's push and pull. You're saying, I really want a little bit more of this. I want less of that. Remember, we're starting at 85. We're not starting at 0. If you're belaboring the first draft and you're nitpicking it, you're starting at 0. That's not what we're doing here. You're going until you get a first draft that is 85%. Okay? Refining your refining your message with precision. This is not going to be something that you complete in one sitting. You're going to go back, take something that you got. You're also every day you're working on your job in your business, learning more from your customers, learning more about your industry, learning more about how AI works. So you're going to keep on taking the information that you are learning, and you're going to keep improving and improving and improving on it. And you may revisit your GPT and refine some instructions and refine some deliverables and add more to what it's supposed to do when you ask it to do something. All of that, you're just going to save time on repetitive thinking by dumping it into the instructions. So all you have to do is ask for it. Okay? Are we all clear on that? All right. Now, I gave everybody a starter prompt here just to get you going. You've built the executive assistant. Now you need to get it going. Hi, I need Jaden activated and ready to win the week. What do you need from me in order to create a comprehensive, and this is just for example, content production calendar? So you can create as many as, yes, I'm getting to that. Content production calendar that assigns 1 day for email sequences, 1 day for LinkedIn blog entries, 1 day for social media content, 1 day for digital products production, 1 day for courses development. Can you map it out and implement it on a large grid? Help me streamline my weekly tasks and identify 3 things I should automate immediately. Please let me know what you need from me. Now, anybody who's already overwhelmed, I feel you. That's the reason why I created the starter prompt. You can cut and paste this after you customize it to your business and just get you going. Get into the habit of when you have a question that pops up in your head, asking your agent, and ask it in this way. I need you activated and ready to win the week. I need you thinking like a world-class New York Times best-selling writer, author. I need you thinking like a person who has won and pitched and won millions of dollars in business, because then it gets into a certain mindset and it starts accessing different parts of the wide world of information, right? And so then you tell it what to do. I want you to create this calendar for me. And this is one that I use for myself all the time, and I'm not gatekeeping, so you can see what I use every day. You do get to the point where you're not overwhelmed and it is helping you. Let me answer your question, Sandy. Can you create as many assistants as you want? Not only can you create as many assistants as you want, but you can decide that one assistant doesn't work well anymore and you can sunset it and then create a new one. I even have assistants that are based off of my business coaches, where I upload the materials and then I say, act as if you're coaching me right now on this thing that I need to be doing, and say it to me like they would say it. I have a question about this Facebook campaign or whatever. I have 9 AI agents that I use and I have been using for the last year and a half to run my business, to take the pain out of the busy back end. So I have Malachi, I have Jaden, the executive assistant, I have Nico Narrative, the YouTube script writer, I have Caleb Cashflow, the sales page guy, I have Sage Steele, he's my writer. So many, right? And I add all the time. And because I love my clients and I love my students, my clients, and entrepreneurs are my people, I created a whole system called the 15-hour buyback, right? It is 3 different categories of agents. It's a total of 8 agents, and you get 8 agents for $8. So $1 per agent. And 3 agents are sales agents, 3 agents are content agents. No, I'm sorry, 3 agents are process agents, 3 agents are content agents, and 2 agents are sales agents. Those are the people that will help the busy back end of any business. Every business has some core operational needs that you cannot get around. And that's what I built the agent courses off of. So you will get the video course and you'll build it based on your business using the courses that are in the 15-hour buyback. And it is incredibly easy. Everybody can end up with your own 8 agents. There's also a ton of bonuses, worksheets, and real life entrepreneurial Q&A type of stuff in each course, where I'm answering stuff just like I answered it right here about admins. What's the 3 levels of admins? What are the 8 steps to building your agent? What are the components of the agent? Components is one thing, steps are another. Where do I go to get my name from? A name bank for my agents. How do I decide what my agent is going to look like? Because that's a whole other thing, is picking what your agent looks like. So if you want to be on the VIP wait list, right now you can pre-order it, or you can sign up for the VIP wait list for the 15-hour buyback. The reason why the price is so cheap is because I love my entrepreneurs, and the last thing I want is for price to be a problem for any of my entrepreneurs. Everyone should have access to this amazing innovation, and I don't want price to be what stands in between you and your agents. So it's 8 courses, 8 agents, 8 courses, $8, $1 per course. You can sign up here. Sandy, did I answer your question about how many agents that you want to build? If I did, definitely let me know in the chat. If you have any other agents, please drop those in so I can answer those to the best of my ability. And if anybody has any other questions, please let me know. I so appreciate your time today. And if you want to sign up for more details, yes, but go ahead. The other questions above. Can you drop those again? Oh, how long did it take? Okay, so this is a good question. So how long did it take to create the AI agent? My first AI agent was the executive assistant. I always start with the executive assistant because that's going to be one that gets to know my work style, and it can inform my other agents. Because once you really get into the big brain activity, the big visionary activity, you can connect your agents and they start working together. So it takes about 3 hours for me to sit still and just create one agent. And that's with a lot of push and pull, answering a lot of questions, and telling Chat GPT, ask me more questions about this. How can I be more clarifying about that? How can I answer your questions better? What can we be doing differently? So it takes me about 3 hours, and I'm happy to spend that 3 hours, because this is the thing. Here's the flip side, right? The way you've been doing it, whenever you have money set aside, or you introduce a new product, you have a new revenue stream, you're like, oh, I need a new person to support this new work. You put the word out there, you put a job posting out there on Upwork or someplace else, and then you get a whole bunch of people in who need a job. In that pool of applicants, you have some people who are in survival mode, you have some people who are admins, and some people who are executive assistants, but you really want an executive assistant type. So now you have to go and have an interview question with Q&A with everyone. Then you decide on who you want. Now you have to train that person. The agent isn't costing you any more or less time than what you're spending in trying to train a human being. Here's the big difference. I put the same amount of time and effort into training my agent, answering all the questions, refining, giving it the information about me. But here's what my agent is not going to do ever. It's never going to tell me it's working too hard. It's never going to tell me it's too late at night to ask a question. It's never going to say it needs a pay raise. It's never going to say I'm stressed out, I need a mental health day, I need a day off, I need a vacation. or I'm going through this at home, and it's unfortunately you guys have to go through it with me too, because it's a personal issue, it's an issue with their kids or their wife, husband, whatever. Like, an agent is $20 a month for as many as you want, and you train it, and it can answer questions at 3:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, midnight, Sunday, 7 o'clock at night, whatever it is. That is the big difference, right? Is that you're putting the same amount of time and effort into training, you're just having access to something around the clock. Yes. You will see when you click onto the QR code here. If you go to my website, shantebacon.com, and you go to the 15-hour buyback, it breaks down the agents right then and there for you. And you can see exactly who does what. Some are press and comms content, like media alerts, pitching, e-blast, that kind of thing. Some are sales agents, where they're mostly dealing with high converting language and CTAs, all of that. So that's really where you get into your secret sauce. But we got to start from someplace, and we start with building the executive assistant. Okay. If there's no other questions, I'm going to end this live. I so thank you again for being on with me. I appreciate you guys and your time, and hope to see you in the 15-hour buyback, enjoying that course. And yep, thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that you have gotten so much value out of it. You can go on the YouTube page and watch any of those. And then there'll be more information on the 15-hour buyback. And I also, that's right, 8 is the number for prosperity. I chose that for a reason, very biblical. Also, in the future, we will have an 8 for 8 that is for Claude as well. Right now, this one is for ChatGPT, but we are creating one for Claude. We're also doing one for people who have mostly proposal and pitch writing responsibilities, so that it teaches you how to go ahead and automate your proposals. Like I said, a proposal can take me anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour right now, and I win the business because I'm leveraging all of the AI tools at my disposal. Also, email automation. Those are the next 2 courses coming out after the 8 for 8. Okay. I will talk to you guys soon. It's been great. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the feedback, the comments, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, guys.